Please kindly confirm if you can see my screen.
All right, I can see it from here.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. So, not to waste our time, let us go straight into the training of today. The training is job hazard analysis for supervisors, job hazard analysis, job safety analysis, tax hazard analysis, various organizations, various standards use a lot of acronyms to define something. So the training is still the same. The meaning still has the same underground tone. That is job as an analysis for supervisors. Like we said, I'm Wali Adugoke and I'm the trainer for today. And I'm doing it as an individual and also under my new organization that is Cuddle Safety Consults. Yeah, please let us mute ourselves. Oh God. Yeah. Oh God. Will I need to battle this today? Oh. Please let us mute ourselves. It's very important, please. Sorry, please let us be patient while I try to address this. I think there's an icon where I can mute everyone at once. I'm trying to get that. Please kindly mute yourself. Oh. I think there is an icon where I can mute everyone at once. I'm trying to find that icon here and I can't find it. Okay, I've seen it. Okay. I'll always mute all now. So can you hear me clearly? So now let's go straight to the training.
Wahid?
Ma?
Are we Walil?
Ma?
Mr. Walil?
Yes, I can hear you, ma.
Yes, I was just going to help you navigate it, but I think you figured it out now. So
yes,
have you been able to, you figured it out?
Yeah, exactly. I've done that, ma. I've been able to figure it out.
Fantastic. Yes.
All right,
okay.
thank you very much, ma. So the training of today is about job as an analysis, like we mentioned. And firstly, we'd like to introduce ourselves, Cuddle Safety Consult. We are into our services include best of training. Best of training means various kind of trainings that might not need certifications, and those that also need certifications. We give a lot of trainings. We just are giving our guest speaker mentioned something about well-being, mental health, and safety. Yes, we just finished training one of our clients on mental health and psychological safety in the workplace, and it was an interesting one. So she's very, very 100%, 100%, 150% correct when she says that there's now the new trend of health and safety, and that is well-being, mental well-being, physical well-being, mental well-being, any aspect of well-being at all is part of the training that we give to individuals and to organizations. So also, what's happening? Sorry, I think I'm having some, I don't know what's happening today. Then health and safety trainings, general health and safety trainings. We are into establishing and implementing occupational health and safety management systems. Establishing systems for organizations is part of what we do. Process safety systems, auditing and inspections, ISO 9001, that is for quality, 14001, that is environmental management system, and 45001, that is the popular occupational health and safety management system that is still going to extend more to well-being, like we have been saying they are advocating for. Then home safety inspection and guidance is also very important. I would have loved to elaborate on this home safety inspection because it's a new one that we are trying to bring up due to recent issues of home accident that we have been seeing. Aside from fire, there are a lot of people that have lost their life, gotten injured due to basic home safety issues. So this is part of those things that we are trying to put into existence. Then safety program planning and implementation for organizations, and equipment list, that's for safety equipment or construction equipment. We are also working towards that. Then HSE manpower supply and PPE skills and supplies. So that is then for me, I want to go deep into myself, but this is me. I'm a trainer. I love training a lot. I'm a safety professional in health and safety, occupational health, process safety. I work in manufacturing industries, construction industries, and a couple of them too. And I think that at least for the main time that I've used in health and safety, I can still be able to deliver as little as I can. Like I used to say, I really don't know anything, and I'm looking up to people like you to really learn from us all. So these are some of my certifications that I have. You know, just I don't want to waste time on them. We still have a long way to go. But these are just some of my certifications that are the most important that I need to let us know. And we are doing this so that we will be confident in what we are about to deliver to us today. So at the end of today's training, we should be able to explain the needs for JSA, that is job safety analysis, and to explain the benefits of job safety analysis and how we can provide information necessary to properly complete job safety analysis, and providing the tools necessary to properly complete job safety analysis. So our training today is on job safety analysis. In our previous training, when we spoke about the basic of health and safety in the workplace, we mentioned briefly about what DSA means, and we told us that we will continue on this trend in the coming months. So we are keeping to our promise to train us for free about what DSA really means. So, okay, I think I have people joining. So let's continue. What is job safety analysis? We have various methods that are used to develop job safety analysis. When we're talking about job safety analysis, basically it means breaking down tasks into separate and distinct steps. These are methods that we use in breaking down tasks. We have a lot of activities. We have a particular activity that we want to carry out, and the process of breaking down those activities into separate steps is what we refer to as job safety analysis. OSHA, that is the Occupational Safety and Health Administration. I hope some of us know what OSHA means. As they require that employers to have a written hazard communication plan. It's very important for us to have this written hazard communication plan. The plan will demonstrate the employer's commitment to helping employees work safely with the processes that have been established in the workplace, with the system of operation in the workplace, to ensure that workers work safely and use whatever has been provided for them to carry out the activities safely. We'll be talking about various forms of hazard and how workers can, how we can establish a job safety analysis to protect workers from getting involved in injuries or accidents, as the case may be. And part of what we call job safety analysis is to evaluate the hazard associated with each step. When you have a particular task that will be given an example very soon, we'll be then taking extra steps to make sure that each step that is involved in carrying out that particular task from A to B, you want to do a particular task, and this is how it's going to take place from point A, point B, stage C, till it gets to the end. Then breaking down those tasks, then evaluating the hazards that are associated with each step, then determining the appropriate controls measure that is needed to control each of the identified steps. That is what we refer to as job hazard analysis. What are the benefits of job hazard analysis? Number one, it is used to identify unsafe work practices before an accident occurs. It's very important that we understand, because if you don't understand the benefit of something, then you would not be able to know why you should do that. If we can identify unsafe work practices before an accident occurs, we can take the necessary steps to decrease injury rates. In many instances, it will require us to redesign the process or to change the equipment or the tools, also boost quality and productivity rates. It's very important that we understand these things, because when you don't understand the purpose, the benefit of something, then doing that kind of thing will be somehow difficult. When you carry out job safety analysis, it will be easier for you to identify the unsafe work practices that could lead to an accident. So when you now identify this unsafe practice, it will be easier for you to take the necessary steps to decrease the injury rate. Like we mentioned, decreasing injury rate and to increase quality. We'll still talk about how safety affects quality and productivity. There's an interaction between them. In our previous training, I think we discussed about quality delivery, productivity, then cost, time, and safety, how they work together, and how safety is the major aspect that could make you to easily work around every other part of this other knowledge area. In project management, there's what we call knowledge areas. So now that we have discussed about the primary benefits of utilizing this JHA, so we'll be reviewing the various ways that JHA information can be used. Like I said, we can call it JHA, we can call it JSA. I'm going to use the two terms so that we understand that they actually mean the same thing. So other benefits also include to increase productivity. So what are the uses of job safety analysis? Number one, to evaluate existing jobs. If you have a particular job that you've been doing in a particular way before, yes, your JSA, your job safety analysis, is also very important. It's an important tool that you can use to evaluate your existing jobs. Even when you're having a new job that you want to plan, setting up a new job, you can also do that using your job safety analysis. It's part of the uses of job safety analysis for existing jobs and to carry out new jobs. Training and retraining tools. Your job safety analysis, whether new or existing, can also be used to train and retrain your workers. It can be, because that is where the breakdown of the activities that is involved in carrying out your job lies. So it is very easy for you to play around your job using the job safety analysis. So like we said, number one, evaluating existing jobs, to set up new jobs, and to train and to retrain your workers. Also to prioritize jobs needing redesign. If there's a particular task, a particular project, or a particular activity that requires a redesign, your job safety analysis is a very important tool that can also be used to prioritize jobs that requires you to make new designs. As we know, when there's a new design that is coming up, no matter the kind of industry, let's say in the construction industry or process industry or manufacturing, when there's a change in design, whatever design, it can be process design, it can be equipment design, it can be procedural design, whatever design that you're talking about, definitely it will affect, there'll be an effect of safety that you need to put into consideration. So having understanding of the job as an analysis makes it easier for you to be able to prioritize the need for redesigning. Another important use of job safety analysis is it ties in closely with other job analysis. You know, we have a lot of job analysis that's been carried out. We have job quality analysis for those that are in quality, productivity analysis, we have cost analysis, we have schedule analysis. So no matter the analysis that you're talking about, no matter the studies you're talking about, understanding job safety analysis, because it's the same process, it's the same procedure that it entails. So you having understanding of job safety analysis, it makes it easier for you to understand the quality analysis and productivity analysis that we are talking about. So from there, reference in accident investigation. If there is an accident that is happening or that has happened, sorry, it is easier for you to use your job safety analysis that is existing for that particular job or task that led to that accident to investigate the accident. I hope we are all following.
Sure, well, we do. All right,
So,
go ahead. I'm here. I'm listening.
thank you very much. So,
Sure, sure, yeah.
We are
thank
with
you.
you.
So, having, oh, please, who is that again? All right, thank you for that. So, reference in accident investigation is part of the use of job as an analysis. So, let us, for those of us that are still new in the field, when we're talking about job tasks, I want to give us examples of these keywords that we have in job as an analysis. So, job tasks is just like count out a particular activity. It can be installation of a fire hydrant pipe. It can be as simple as changing your light bulb at home. It's a very simple example. So we want to use the simplest examples for us to understand what we really mean by these keywords. So changing a light bulb is example of a job task. So the step is, what are those steps required? So one of the steps, you don't always have a single step. You have a series of steps that leads to you carrying out that particular job. For example, climbing a ladder is one of the steps that is involved in changing the light bulb. Then the hazard that is involved include defects on a ladder. When there's a defect on the ladder is an hazard. There can be lots and lots of job steps that is involved, and there can be more than one hazard that is involved, and there can be more than one exposure. Exposure is the same thing as risk. Some people use it together, risk exposure, it still means the same thing. So the risk level or the exposure level is what we are talking about here. Injury from ladder falling, it can be someone falling from the ladder, it can be the ladder being struck by a moving vehicle, it can be the ladder slipping on the floor while the person is not even falling, but the person will later fall down as the ladder slips down the floor. So there are a lot of exposure that could happen. So you need to understand these keywords while we go on in today's training. Then the control. What are those control measures? Since you identify the risk, the hazard that are present, what are the controls that is required to be put in place to make sure that you remove or reduce the effect of the hazard? Then accident is another very important one, and that is unfavorable occurrence, unplanned occurrence, even though sometimes we plan it indirectly, like I used to tell people. So basically is unplanned occurrence, accident, incident, also an occurrence. So like, for example, falling from the ladder with or without injury is an accident. So let us understand these keywords. So we are talking about relationship between what's it called? Safety, productivity, and quality. When we're talking about, I will just briefly give us an example here that we can easily relate with. There was a time where I was working in a construction industry. Based on the permit to work, there's what we call permit to work system. Maybe we'll still carry out another training on that. Maybe the permit to work based on World Health Organization standards, even based on the recommendation that is I think R165 or something. I don't want to go into details. The required standard hours of work should be 40 hours per week. That is 8 hours per day. That is 8 times 5, 40. But you know, most of us that has worked in the construction industry, we know that we work for, even sometimes we work for 10 hours per day till Saturday to Sunday. So this particular day, they started their work, and I don't know when they started, but I'm sure they started late. What happened? They were doing a plastering job. Plastering job is one of the millions of activities that is being carried out in the construction industry. They were plastering the wall, and while they were doing that, it was 5 o'clock. So normally, based on the standard, they'll be tired at that time because their energy has been drained. Time is not on their side. Now, you were begging and pleading that you want to carry out that job. You require strength to do a quality job. Yes, the time, you might think that the time is going, but at the same time, you should consider that quality job is a factor of the strength you have in you, even though you have the knowledge. So this particular day, they begged, they pleaded that they want to do the job, that they want to rush the job. Then they pleaded to 6 o'clock. Safety says close by 5 o'clock. You've worked 8 hours. In fact, I think they even worked 9 hours. okay, it's 5 o'clock, rest for the day. 6 o'clock, they said no, they just want to work till they say I have a lot to do. I think they left that, they finished that job that night, I think around 8 o'clock or so, after 7, 8 o'clock at night, spending extra hours, getting tired excessively because they want to finish the assignment. So they rushed the job. The second day, the engineer who is in charge of quality came and said, what you have done is complete rubbish. What you have done is complete rubbish. Because they want to rush, the safety has said, your health cannot go extra mile. Your health cannot go beyond this 5 o'clock. Stop working. They said no, they want to continue the job. And we left them to continue the job because, you know, it shouldn't be like, there are a lot of controversies when it comes to the construction industry. Even in other industries, there's always this safety, whatever. We don't want to go into that. So the next day, now they need to scrape that job that they did. Now, if they have stopped 5 o'clock and continued the next day, they will have done the quality job. So now they need to remove what they did. Let us understand the quality aspect now. The quality was bad, so definitely that one is simple to understand because they didn't listen to what safety said. Now let's look at cost, let's look at resource management, and let's look at the overall productivity. Now they need to pay them for the extra hour that they spend that night. They will pay them no matter what, regardless. They will pay them for that. Now that is the technicians that did the job, the masons that carry out the job. They need to pay them for that night. That is overtime payment. Now they did rubbish because we were rushing. The job was not accepted because we wanted to work extra hours. Then the second day, they now need to scrape what they did. They scraped it. That is spending another time, wasting resources because they use cement, granite, and sand, whatever they have used for the job. They need to scrape that. They wasted those materials, and now they need to now do another job again and spend another time. So they spent like ×3 of the time, because the time that they used to do the rubbish is one time. The time that was used to remove the rubbish they did another time. Now the time that they now have to use to now do the correct job. Now they wasted the resources that were given to them. That is extra money. So at the end of the day, if safety was followed, that would have happened. That is a good example of the relationship between safety, production, quality, not only quality, cost, and resource management. It all boils down to how the safety person is able to give valid reasons why safety needs to be followed in total. And this is just one example of the millions ways that safety will have saved organizations with cost, residual of cost, residual of time. So this is an example of how there is this relationship between productivity, safety, and quality. So let's continue. If we want to carry out job as an analysis, where do we get our information from? Where do we start from? Where are those places that we need to look into? Where are those areas of focus that will assist us in getting a very robust job safety analysis? Number one is from accident history. You know, safety is not a person or is not a thing. Safety is not the safety officer or the coordinator, and it's not a written safety manual. Safety is a process. We need to understand that. It's a process that needs to be followed. Specifically, the way the workers perform their jobs collectively each day. At times, they have the proper equipment, we have the proper tools, we have the proper job instructions, training attitude to perform the job safely. At other times, they don't have these things. So that is why it is very important for us to understand, should in case we want to extract our information, we shouldn't extract our information from what is happening. Because when it is happening, it might be an ideal state. You should look at those times where things were not, process was not in place. because even though if there are processes in place, there can still be accident. But an accident is what will I call it? Is an area where you can get where there can be loopholes for us to cover. So accident history is very important in getting to know how to carry out our job safety analysis. Another one is employee complaints. We should get our information from the complaints of employees when they give complaints of, maybe it can be health-wise, like what I do anytime, almost every day where I work, if I have opportunity to have relationship with the nurse, for example, I go to her and I ask her some questions. Madam, has anybody come to complain about anything? Because some workers might not want to tell you, but because they know they have a free what's it called? Because they have a free clinic that they can get free drugs from. So is an opportunity, indirect opportunity, that most safety officers do not make use of, to get information about the state of health of your workers, not officially but unofficial, especially if they are working as a consultant, where your contractor might be getting some information away from you. So what we are saying here in essence is that complaints are very important for you to know how to carry out job as an analysis. Maybe your workers complain about back pain, maybe they complain about a slight injury, or maybe they complain about the procedure of work, or they get tired easily. Maybe they complain about a particular, maybe they are having a running nose due to a new chemical that was introduced, and you don't know, but they went to the hospital to complain, and maybe they thought it was a normal thing. So these are areas where you can get your complaints from your workers, aside other means of getting complaints, just as using a feedback form, using a suggestion box to remain anonymous. So a lot of areas that you can actually get your information from. Then also you have it, employees turnover. From your employees turnover, you can say if your job is doing well. What do we mean by employee turnover? That is the rate at which workers leave your organization. Maybe a particular department, or maybe the welding unit, or maybe the carpentry unit, or maybe any unit that you know you are their operations in your organization, or in the construction site, depending on how you segregate them or divide them into departments. But the overall idea here is that from the turnover, the rate at which they leave your organization will tell you, from a particular department, it will tell you that, okay, this place, you need to carry out a very good job as an analysis. And from rate of absenteeism too, it should also assist you in it will also assist you in getting information of how to start your job safety analysis or job as an analysis. Then from other supervisors and from other managers too, who are already very close to the workers, because you should know that supervisors are also very important establishing job analysis. One is because they are very, very close to the workers and also close to the managers. They are the one that helps implement the processes. They are the one that helps implement the system. They are the one that supervise the guys. They are the one that are very close to almost every area of need when it comes to execution of tasks and also communication with the management. So it's very important that you speak to your supervisors, most especially, and your managers in terms of getting things done. That is the manager in terms of implementation, to make sure that everybody remains at the same page at every point in time. Then your safety manager, to obviously, from your safety manager, you should know, or from the safety manager, even the safety manager from yourself, you should know where to start, when to carry out job safety analysis. Then jobs that are showing potential for loss. Yes, it can be loss of time, it can be loss of quality, like we said, it can be loss of, it can be health-wise. So all those critical jobs, we should also carry out a job safety analysis for them. Now, 3 steps is a procedure. What are the steps in carrying out a JSA procedure? Number 1 is identifying each major step of the job task. Like we said, what are the steps involved in carrying out these tasks? identifying each major steps that is needed to carry out this particular task, then listing the hazards to each major step. The hazards that are involved for each step, you need to list them. We'll still give ourselves an example later while we continue in the training. Then to determine the controls that could prevent an accident from each hazard identified. I hope this is the basic that we need to understand when it comes to JHA. Identifying each major step for the job. For example, let's say installation of a fire hydrant pipe. I don't want to give a very simple example like fixing a bulb. It will be too shallow. Now, installing a fire hydrant pipe are those pipes that have been installed in standard buildings to in case there is a fire, it will help them to extinguish the fire. Maybe it can be CO2, it can be powder, it can be water. So I think most times hydrant is fire hydrant pipes, sometimes water, depending on what is the medium that is used to extinguish fire. So installing those pipes is a very huge task, from the cutting of the pipes to the painting of the pipe with red oxide to prevent any rusting, to the welding of the pipe, to the lifting of the pipe to the position where they want to install them, to the welding of the joint to fix the pipe permanently, then down to the mobilization. So it's a very serious task. So identifying the major steps can include, number one, mobilizing the tools, the materials to the site. Number two, cutting the pipes into sizes. Number three, painting the pipes. Number four, welding the pipes at the ground level first, because they still need to do some welding at the ground level. Then, number four, right? Then number five, lifting the pipe to the height. Then number six, then final welding of joints. Then number seven, demobilizing of personnel and works. So these are the major steps. So for each step, you need to list the hazard, like, for example, mobilizing the tools. What are the hazards that are involved? At the area of cutting the pipes into sizes, what are the hazards? At the area of painting them, what are the hazards? At the area of lifting them, what are the hazards? At the area of final welding of joints, what are the hazards? At the area of bringing them down, what are the hazards? And after identifying each hazard, each particular job task, each particular step can have more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, depending on your risk perception, how you are able to identify risk. Yes, depending on your level of risk perception, you can identify enough of them. Like we said, there are a lot of areas where you can get data from what to put in your job hazard analysis, from previous accidents, from your supervisors, from workers' experience, from their complaints. So after doing this, then you need to determine the control for each of the hazard, either to reduce it or to remove it entirely. Yes, some you can remove it entirely, some you can reduce it to the barest minimum. Some you can reduce, some you can remove, just to prevent the accident from happening. So what are the important tips that we need to know? Evaluating all aspects of the job task, even if performed infrequently. Now we are doing example of non-routine activities. Yes, because we are using example of construction, because that is where I spend most of my working experience. In the manufacturing industries too, there are routine jobs that they do the same. They carry out production, so they carry out the same thing every day. Even though a particular task is not done every day, maybe once in a while, you need to carry out job safety analysis. You need to evaluate all aspects of the job task. When you break down the task into smaller parts, you need to evaluate every part of it, even if that particular part is not done frequently. Then you need to observe more than one employee doing the job, because sometimes workers tend to bend rules and workers tend to do things frequently. differently sometimes. So you need to observe more than one employee when you are carrying out a specific job task. The way Mr. A will weld is different from the way Mr. B will weld. Mr. A, the way he's carrying out the job, is different from how Mr. B is carrying out the job. It can be that the way Mr. B is carrying out the job is the reason why there is excess hazard or excess risk of job, while Mr. A is carrying it out in a safer way. So we need to observe more than one employee doing a specific job task. Then we need to observe more than one shift. Shift 2 is also very important when it comes to job hazard analysis. Understanding that night shift is different from morning shift. Understanding that a particular shift can be influenced by so many things. Let's talk about understanding workers' behavior. Workers' behavior, human behavior is another aspect of safety, another topic entirely that we can also take a particular day to talk about. So, because if you are a particular can be influenced by peer pressure, and they tend to do things in a more risky way because of the idea that has evolved around them due to peer pressure, due to peer group, because they belong to that shift. One person can spoil the whole team in a particular shift, and it will take extra knowledge, extra time to carry out job safety analysis, extra training for that particular shift than another shift. So many things can influence you. If they ask me that what are those things that can influence the shift, apart from the particular time, which is maybe morning shift or night shift, shifts can also be influenced by peer pressure or peer group, or the way as it may be. So that is the reason why we need to observe more than one shift to understand that, see, let us know how this job is actually really carried out, because at the end of the day, they are the one who wants to carry out the task and not us. So another important tip is to take enough time to observe the job. We don't rush to carry out job safety analysis. These days we carry out, I'm also guilty of this, or let me use what I was also guilty of this. I will sit down in our office to draft job safety analysis. Yes, say I want to carry out DHA, permit to work, attach your DHA to it, and that's the end. So we do that every day. So we believe that jobs are routine. Meanwhile, some jobs might not be routine. There might be a new risk that have been introduced. So carrying out job hazard analysis requires time and requires seeing the job, not just sitting in the office and just drafting out something. Unless if you are already used to the job, you go to site, you see them every day when they do the job. Notwithstanding, it still requires communication with the workers when you're carrying out your job hazard analysis. Then observe a worker actually doing the job, not just describing the job. Yes, you might have an opportunity to have someone that will come and describe how their job is being done. Most times they do that a lot. They will tell you, oh God, it's not hard. We just want to do this, do this, do this. I do tell my people that if you are talking with me in safety, don't use the word just. And nothing is just. Don't tell me I just want to. No, I don't want to hear just. I want to, don't say just, because saying just means that I don't need to take it seriously. No. I need to take every job seriously. That is why we need to observe workers that are actually doing the job and not just describing the job to us, so that we'll be able to understand how the job can affect the workers. So listing the basic job steps. We have talked about listing basic job steps. If you remember, when we were here, we said we'll list the major step, we'll list the hazard and the control. So under listing the job steps now, what are those things that we need to put into place? Number one, we need to define the job task to be carried out. Like I said the other time, I think is it a question? Yes, job risk we have risk assessments. I think we'll still go back to question and answer. Job risk assessment. We have a risk assessment already from method statement. That is the overall job activities from A to D, maybe for a particular project. Now they want to carry out a particular project. Risk assessment and method statement covers everything, but job hazard analysis now has to do with the specific task that want to be carried out. So I do not know, maybe it's another time, but seeing the word risk assessment is making me to associate it with risk assessment and method statement, or some call it hazard identification and risk assessment document. no matter the case may be, it's still the same thing. So risk assessment and job hazard analysis might mean the same, might mean different things depending on the context or the volume of what you want to evaluate. The normal risk assessment that I know and method statements do contain more information than job hazard analysis. Job hazard analysis is focused on a particular task of the overall project. So defining the job tasks to be studied, like installation of fire hydrant pipe, installation of light bulb, installation of cable trays, excavation of soil. You need to define the job tasks to be studied. Then the next one is observe tasks and break into major steps. We need to observe the tasks, like we said, and break them down into their major steps. And you need to record your result. Then after recording your result, then you ensure that the information is complete and accurate. You need to ensure that for the first step, which is listing of the basic job step, you need to list the basic step of the job. For each step, for the job itself that you've carried out, you need to observe them. You need to record the result that what you observed, then ensure that the information is complete and accurate. At this point, you've not identified the hazard. You are just doing the first part of it, which is to break them down into job steps. So after breaking them down, record your result and ensure that the information that you have been provided with is very correct. Then talking about recording your information, how do you gather your information is very important to know how you gather your information. So you can gather information from direct observation, like we said the previous time, by directly observing the workers while they are carrying out the job. It can be through record tapes, taking a video of how the job is being done, but it is much more important. The most important one, the most primary one, is to carry out direct observation. Videotape can be used for later referencing where you are doing your documentation process, but the most important of them is to carry out direct observation. Then employee participation. Make sure that your employee are there while you're carrying out your job safety analysis. These are the ideal ways that we use in establishing what we call the job safety analysis. Then other supervisors too need to be there, like we said. Supervisors, the importance of supervisors cannot be overemphasized. Cannot be overemphasized because they are a major part of the industry of the organization. They are the closest to the workers. They are the ones that will actually supervise the job to make sure that the job is being done. At the same time, they are also the closest. They are also close to the management. So they form that link between both sides. So it's also very important to make sure that they are also there in order to make sure that things are being done the right way. So a case study, we have our pen. We have our pen for those of us that wants to follow this. It's not compulsory, it's optional. If you have our pen, let us just carry out a very small case study, like the example that we used the other time, like the installation of fire hydrant pipe. I broke them down into 5 steps. I mentioned the mobilization aspect. So I'm also putting it down, mobilization aspect, mobilizing the tools, equipment, whatever they are using to carry out the job, mobilizing it to the site is the number one part of the job. Then number 2 is cutting of metals into sites, cutting metals into sites. Number 3 is painting with red oxide to prevent corrosion. Then number 4 is lifting of metal. Number 5 is final installation, that is welding of the metal to metal joints. Then number 6, it will now be demobilization. So these are the tasks that is involved, the steps that is involved in carrying out that installation of fire hydrant pipe, which is the definition of the job. So cutting out the pipes, it can involve so many things. For example, It can involve, okay, let's start from mobilization. While mobilizing, there can be slip, tip, and fall hazard. Worker can fall down. The load can be too heavy for them to carry. We'll still go into in depth about that later. They're talking about cutting the metals. It can be using what method of cutting are they using? Are they using to cut? Are they using a cutting machine? What kind of cutting machine are they using? Can be the painting. What kind of painting? Are they carrying out the painting activity? Are they using spray painting or brush? How are they carrying out the painting activity? Then lifting of the metal. What procedure are they using to lift the metal? Are they using a rope? Are they using a scaffold? Are they using a crane? What are they using to carry out the lifting operation? And is the procedure appropriate for the task that they are using it for? Then welding of the metal joint. What method are they using to weld? We have a lot of welding procedures. We have arc welding. We have argon welding. We have oxyacetylene. I think oxyacetylene welding. So there are a lot of welding activity, welding procedures, and each of them are new hazard, different hazard, new risks that they pose to the workers. Then demobilization. So you can take your time, just list out these activities as I've done now, and let us continue. The first one is mobilizing. The second one is cutting the metals into sizes. The third one is painting the metal. The fourth one is lifting the metal to the height they want to weld. The next one is welding of the metal joint, how they carry out the welding operation. And the last one is demobilizing of the materials and the personnel away from the site. If there's any aspect of the job that I've missed, please, you can drop it in the comment section so that I can add it for our experienced city professionals. If there's anyone, can we include testing and commissioning? Yeah, this will be included under risk assessment. Like I said the other time, that there's difference between risk assessment and job as an analysis. Thank you for this question. Now, detailed information will be included in the risk assessment, like the testing, like the commissioning and decommissioning, medical surveillance, information about the safety policy. So there are a lot of more details that is involved in risk assessment. But for this purpose, unless if you want to carry out commissioning, so that will be a topic on its own on job as an analysis. Then you now start breaking it down. How do we carry out the commissioning? How do we carry out the testing? Because it's a particular task of the overall project. I hope it's very clear, Mr. Adefela or Ms. Adefela. So thank you for that question. It's a very good one. So from there, let's go to identifying the hazards. Now, we have various ways to identify the hazards. In our previous training, we made mention of the 4 Ps. For us that can remember what the 4 Ps is. But I'll first explain this before going to that. Now, you need to understand the ergonomic consideration. How does the worker fit with the job? Ergonomics means relationship between the worker, the job, and the procedure is he or she uses to carry out the job. The worker, the job, and the procedure is using to carry out the job. Let's look at a particular area here. Let's look at welding of the metal joint after they lifted the metal now. So after they lifted the pipe to that height. Now, relationship between the worker, that is the welder, the job is to weld at height, and the procedure is using to do the job. Is it comfortable? Is it suitable? Some will be over, for example, some might be welding and they will have to stretch their hand and look up to carry out the welding operation. That is, it is above their shoulder level. That is, safety-wise, it is not safe. Welding should be at averagely at your shoulder level. Yes, at your shoulder level. So that is part of ergonomic consideration. Ergonomic consideration can be as simple as relationship between you sitting down and your laptop. How do you position your body? Are you bending your neck? Most of us, I'm also very guilty of this. I'll be praying to God to take phone addiction away from my life, because I'm addicted. I don't want to say I'm addicted to phone press. I know I'm very good at pressing phone anyway, because I have a lot of things I do with my phone actually, but still, it's still not an excuse anyway. So what I'm saying here is that the relationship between our body, the job, and how we carry out the job is very important. That is what we call ergonomic consideration. That what we call ergonomic consideration. Then the second one is environmental consideration. We need to understand the environmental consideration, how the environment affects the job that we do. And it is in two ways: how we affect the environment and how the environment affects us. Now, how we affect the environment can be as simple as, let me use the welding, for example, that we are using in this case study. Using arc welding, we bring out fumes, welding fumes, that we take it to the environment, that is hazardous to the environment. Now we are already affecting the environment. Now, how the environment affects us. Example of how the environment affects us back in return is, for example, if it is raining now, it is raining heavily, and a worker is carrying out a welding operation at height, is a very serious consideration. Environment can be the base at which you place your scaffold that your worker is using to access the height. So it is in both ways: how you affect the environment and how the environment affects your job. So those are ways to identify your hazard. Then physical hazard consideration can be the normal physical hazard that we see. That is, can a moving equipment struck the scaffold that is being used, what processes are being used, and how does it affect the worker. So the physical hazard, noise hazard, heat, biological hazard, chemical hazard, those are part of the physical hazard considerations. Now, I was talking about other means like the 4 P's. Like, if you understand these 4 P's, it will be easier for you to play around hazard, identifying your hazards. And they include: the first P is the people. I think it's very common. The 4 P is people. The second P is the process, that is the procedure. The third P is the plant, that is equipment. And the fourth P is the environment. So the fourth P is the place, that is the environment. So we can put it down also. We can put it down also so that we'll use it while we are carrying out our risk assessment later in this training. The first one is the people. The second one is the place. The third one is the process, while the fourth one is the plant. So when we're talking about the plant, we are talking about the equipment. We are talking about process, we are talking about the procedure. We are talking about the place, we are talking about the environment. We are talking about people, we are talking about the workers. It can be, the people can be the worker, can be the supervisor, that can be the engineer. It can be visitors. It can be people that are coming around. So if you understand these things, it will be easier for you to know, okay, how well can I provide control measures? Or how well can these people be exposed to? How well can these people? Yeah, okay, I will come again on the 4 P's. 4 P's, 4. The people, the place, the process, and the plant. The people, the place, the process, and the plant. The people means the normal people, easy to understand. The place means the environment, the place where you're carrying out the job. The process means the procedure you are using to carry out the job. And the plant means the equipment that we are using to carry out the job. So we need to understand these 4 P's for us to be able to know how to identify and put control measures. The people can be the, like I said, the people can be the workers, can be the engineer, can be supervisor, can be visitors that are coming around. That can be those that were present while you are doing the job and are not supposed to be present, and they are not supposed to be present. So how do you create that control? Then the second P, which is the place, includes the environment, like I mentioned the other time. People, process, place, and plant. Is that? Yeah, exactly. So the place can include the environment the job is being carried out. Like I said, the effect of what we do on the environment and how the environment affects us. Then the other P, which is the process, can be the procedure. You know, we have what we call safe operating procedure. We have safe system of work. We have so many of them. So no matter what it is, the procedure, the process we are using to carry out that activity, or the process we are using in our industry to carry out production processes, like maybe in the oil and gas, in the distillation column, from the beginning where the crude oil is being transferred to the last where every fraction of crude oil is being produced, and every other process. It can be like the FMCG, how they process their product from raw materials to the end product. The process it goes through, the equipment is good. The process of carrying out that job exactly is what a process means. A process can be as simple as how you fix your ladder, the process of fixing your ladder. Then the last P, which is the equipment, it means the tools, the equipment. The last P, which is the plant, means the tools, the equipment that used to carry out the job. You're using a cutting machine, you're using a disc cutter, you're using every equipment that is involved while carrying out the job. The welding machine. It can be your hammer. It can be the chisel. Every equipment, every tool that is being used, can be the crane. It can be the mobile elevating work platform like the skyjack, scissors lift, forklift, any equipment at all that is involved in carrying out that job. Understanding them and how they affect themselves, how the plant affect the people, how the environment affect the process. Understanding how to play across these 4 P's. Me, I like identifying where there's extra training needs. You see, these 4 P's is under training on its own. Yes, it's under training on its own, but let us understand what it means. Okay, someone is also giving us another one here. Let me also have this as categories of workplace that. Yeah, MIPS, materials. Okay, materials, the environment, the equipment, the people, and the system. I think the new one here is the material. Every other one is embedded inside what we have here. Thank you very much for that. So we have the material, the environment, the equipment, the people, and the system. So thank you. It's a very good one there. So let's continue. Okay. So when we're talking about ergonomics, I think we'll be finding everybody that is talking now. We'll be finding out in millions. Don't worry. So now we mentioned ergonomic consideration. So we're talking about ergonomics. We spoke about what ergonomy is. Where can we see ergonomics? Where can we have ergonomic danger signs? I've given examples of it. The relationship between the work, the process, and the work, the person, and the procedure of carrying out the job. Example, non-adjustable workstations. When a workstation is not adjustable to suit the person's mode of work or to suit the person carrying out the job, it's an ergonomic danger sign. Workstation improperly adjusted. A workstation that is not properly adjusted to suit the posture of the person doing the job. Someone needs to stretch his hand, or someone needs to bend down, or someone needs to bend in a particular way to fit into the job, instead of the job to fit into the person's body structure, the body's anatomy. Then it's a danger. It's a danger sign. Then repetitive motions, carrying out a particular task at every point in time, repeating the job at a particular part of it. This one is very common in the process industry, where someone needs to carry out a particular thing, like someone transferring the material from point A to point B. Kind of the same repetitive job. It is very common, and it's a very important ergonomic danger sign. Excessive manual lifting operation. When someone is lifting materials excessively can be in terms of weight, the properties of the material. Excessive can be in terms of the frequency of lifting, the duration of lifting. So excessive manual material lifting is also an ergonomic danger sign. Also, handling material below knuckle height. When we're talking about knuckle height, when you stand straight and you put your hands by your side, where your knuckle is the knuckle height. So from the ground level to that place, someone now has to bend down excessively to repeatedly carry out handle material. It is what we call danger sign. Another one is handling material above shoulder level. When someone needs to overreach and carry out activities above shoulder level, it is called I think I have a comment there. Okay, please, because of time, this is 6:23, and I don't want to take our time. Yes, someone requested that I go back a little bit. Please, let us be fast with this. Non-adjustable workstations improperly adjusted, repetitive motions, excessive manual handling, manual material handling. These are the about the material, the slide. I'm not sure if we can have it. So please let us continue. Later we'll discuss about that. I'm not sure we can have the materials. That is why it's important to jot things down. There are materials that I particularly use for trainings, especially paid training. So we should try to understand, but we'll still talk about that later. So work position away from the body. When a work is positioned away from the body, it is also an ergonomic danger sign. It's also an ergonomic danger sign that we also need to put into consideration. Then twisting of the torso is also a ergonomic danger sign. That is twisting the body to suit. The idea is suiting okay. Someone has given a suggestion that you can screenshot and read later. Yeah, no, I don't have any issue with that. I'm fine with it. You can screenshot and read them later. It's not a problem. Thank you for that advice. I think that is very good. So twisting of the torso is also an ergonomic danger sign that we also need to put into consideration. Then environmental consideration, I've mentioned them, the chemical agents that are available in the environment, the biological agents, like we have the COVID-19, the environment, the extreme temperatures, extreme cold, extreme heat that can affect the job and the process and the person carrying out the jobs. Radiation exposure, these are environmental consideration. Then for physical other consideration, we have the machinery, the machines, most especially, that is drawing in at knee point. You know, we have accidents in the past when people got moving part of the machine, you know, at the point of operation, or where there's a power transmission, where the electrical part that energizes the machine exists. Some people have gotten electrocuted. It can be due to poor ethnic system or the likes, or improper training or incompetency of the side of the operator, or inefficient inspection of the equipment, and then poor maintenance policy that have led to the malfunction of the machinery that could affect the worker. Nonetheless, some people are stay very close to moving parts. Some have gotten stories of people who got caught, exactly getting their fingers removed or damaged due to effect of exposures to machine or heavy equipment while carrying out their jobs. Pinch point and knee point, that is during that knee point. These are one of the major causes of accident that we have in today's industry. Then clearance to fixed objects. Then work area layout. We should understand that these are also physical hazard consideration. The layout of the work, where the work is being carried out. We need to understand how to segregate our work area to differentiate from where an activity is being carried out and where people can actually move around. Then the step 2, the step 1 is breaking them down into steps. Now the step 2 is identifying and listing the hazards. Now let's go back to our case study. Our case study, we're talking about, we've broken them down: mobilization, cutting metals, painting, lifting of the metal or the pipe to the height required. Oh God. To the height required, then welding of the metal joint, then demobilization. So after this, identifying the hazards, mobilizing, I've mentioned some of them the other time. You can have them written and try to practice yourself. While mobilizing, people can trip and fall. That's slip, trip, and fall hazard. while mobilizing, we have the new normal now, the COVID-19. People can get contact with COVID-19. We shouldn't limit it to occupational health alone. We should also extend it to every form of hazard that could affect productivity at large. Because when someone contacts COVID-19, it affects others, and they can shut down your project or shut down the activities of your industry as far as today is concerned. So you can find out other hazards that are associated with mobilization of equipment, tools, and this into site. Those are your workers can got stuck with moving vehicles while coming. Then cutting the metal. While cutting the metal, you need to understand that they are using a cutting machine. You need to understand that the workers can get injured with the cutting disc. The cutting operation itself can lead to fire, and the cutting operation can lead to fire if there are flammable materials around, because of the spark can generate heat that could reach the flammable exposure limit of whatever flammable is around the working environment. So during that process, while they are cutting the metal, the environment where they are cutting the metal, they can get stuck by moving vehicles, so they need to be segregated. I'm already talking about the controls. So you need to understand while the cutting operation is going on, what are the hazards that are involved. If they are cutting order where there's a scaffold, someone working on a scaffold, a falling object can hit them at the ground level. So you need to understand, as I said, the environment is also very important. You need to put everything you need to put the 4 P's into play. You need to put the people that are carrying out the job. You need to understand the environment, why this cutting operation is taking place. The process used in cutting, understanding the process they use in cutting, from there you can identify your hazard. Then understanding the equipment used in cutting, from there you can identify your hazard. Like the cutting disc can shatter and cut the worker's head or someone else that is working somewhere. So it's very important. While cutting, the spark alone can cause skin burns, cause skin burn, can enter the eye and cause cataract. So you need to understand all these aspects. The fumes while some cutting can bring out dust anyway, but most importantly is the sparks that come out and every other thing that is around the job activity. That is the cutting. Then this next one is the painting. What procedure are they using to paint? Are they using spray painting that leads to more exposure? Because when you're using spray to paint, there is higher exposure to the paint. The paint is carcinogenic and can lead to cancer. The paint can also lead to other respiratory diseases. The paint is also flammable. So the process that they are using to carry out the painting operation is very important. The person carrying out the paint is very important. The environment they are carrying out are they carrying out the painting where there is heat, where someone else is welding? So you need to understand how they are carrying out the process they are using to carry out. That's where the 4 P's come into play. So for each stage, understanding the 4 P's or the 5 memes that the person, the other very good person told us now, that is the materials, the environment, the equipment, the process, and the system, I think, if I'm correct. So using those to identify each stage is also a very important part of the job safety analysis. Then the lifting of the metal, also very important. While they are lifting the metal, what are the hazards that are involved? The metal can fall while they are lifting it. It can fall down. It can lead to ergonomic hazard, because what are they using to lift it? Are they using an equipment to lift it, or they are lifting it manually? Did they climb a scaffold and they need to lift it manually, or they are using an equipment like maybe a crane or a self-loader crane to carry out the lifting operation? What method are they using to carry out the lifting operation? Who are those that are carrying out the lifting operation? Are they competent to carry out the lifting operation? Are they fit to carry out the lifting operation? Are they skilled to carry out the lifting operation? Do they have the ability, the strength, the energy to carry out the lifting operation, to carry out the lifting? Then the welding of the metal joint also. That is, are they using arc welding or argon welding? Are they using the required PPE? What is the exposure level of the fumes to the person, and what controls are in place, existing controls that are in place? So understanding all these at each step will be easier for us to carry out our job safety analysis. So from there, we're talking about after identifying your what's it called? After identifying the stages, after breaking them down into steps, then elimination, then it now comes to control. Because you have already identified the stages, the steps, then you have identified the hazard for each step. Then for each hazard that you've identified, what are the controls that are needed to be put in place? Remember, there's what we call the hierarchy of control. We have the elimination. We discussed this in our last training, the hierarchy of safety control, the five hierarchies, which is the elimination, substitution, engineering controls, administrative controls, and the use of PPE. Training is under administrative control because some people still used to put training under a different one entirely, but I believe it's under administrative control. So eliminating means that to remove the hazard completely. For example, maybe they can also carry out the lifting of they can also carry out the painting at height, but they decide to paint they decide to paint the stuff at ground level before going up to what? To carry out the joining. So they have reduced the time they will spend at height, because painting has been, the need for painting at height has been removed entirely, and it's now being done at ground level. So that is an example of at that point for the painting activity, they eliminated height work at that time. So substitution means that using a less hazardous substance or a less hazardous procedure to carry out a job. For example, maybe someone wants to, maybe they want to carry out the lifting operation manually, and they are like, instead of carrying out the lifting operation manually, why can't they use a good that is a self-loader crane to carry out the job? So they've removed the ergonomic risk of physical or physical lifting of the equipment. But there is still some new risk that is introduced, but then it is much more safer when an equipment is being used than when it is being done manually. Then engineering controls, creating barriers. The cutting machine that they are using, is their guard. That's the guard, this guard that is used to prevent, in case there is a chatter of the cutting disc, to prevent it from affecting the person. Is it present? What are those barriers? Are they engineering controls? Mostly have to with barriers between the person doing the job and the hazard itself. The administrative control can include supervision, can include training, can include signages, can include the toolbox stock and every other ways of administrative controls. Then the use of PPE. So for each stage for each hazard that you've identified, you put appropriate controls in place. So I think I've mentioned the case study. I've done justice to that with what I just did now for each stage of the job hazard analysis. So at the end of the day, after using your result, it will be, after gathering those information, there's what we call there's a document that they use, job hazard analysis, where is a template already that you will just put all these things in there, as simple as that. I have something here. Yes, we'll definitely get the recording. We'll definitely get the recording. Once we are done with the training, give me some time, I would record it and I would send it to our YouTube channel for us to have access to it, so you can download it from there. I think that will be the best way. I can't send a file of about 1 gig plus to everybody individually. It's not possible. So I'll get it. That's the best way we can get it across to us. I think that one is fine. So after that, the training is for supervisors, and supervisors are the ones that we assume that we all have this training at supervisory level. The training will not be detailed as this if it's as a officer's level or as a worker's level. So a challenge that is there is how the supervisor will be able to implement whatever he has done or whatever he has established from the job as an analysis. So would have loved to have a very fast, a very quick discussion, but because of time, we might not have it. How do we think that supervisors can actually implement this, considering the fact that can DHA form a legal document for a company? It can be an evidence. Yes, it can be an evidence of implementation. Like most times, it's been attached to the permit to work system. So it can be an evidence of establishing a safety control, a safety system of work. Yes, I think so. So if you have another comment to that, please kindly let's put it there. So the group discussion will have been, not for time, that how do we think that these supervisors can implement what procedure, what processes can the supervisor use to implement all what he has done by establishing or drafting a job safety analysis from what we have discussed. So this is the end of the training. So the question is, are we able to accomplish our training objective? Like we said, at the end of the training, we should be able to understand the need for job safety analysis. Do we now understand why we need to carry out job safety analysis? Can we now explain the benefits, like we mentioned the other time, of job safety analysis? Can we provide the information necessary to properly complete job safety analysis? Providing the tools necessary to properly complete job safety analysis. So I have a template on one of my I have another, and in our last training we shared it, we gave us an example of the template, so that's why I didn't bother giving it here. But you can just go online and just search for job safety analysis or job analysis. You see so many pictures of it there. There are different types. It's not but templates are not fixed, so but they still contain mostly the same detail, even though exactly all details are the same. All right, thank you very much for that feedback. Someone said, let me see the name. Mr. Raji said, yes, the training objective is achieved. Thank you for that. So thank you very much for being in attendance of our today's training. I really appreciate everyone who has taken their time to come here. I'm really grateful. If you're not here, it will be so boring. But seeing you all makes me very energetic to continue to train us and to educate ourselves. But like I used to say, I also love to get feedback. I also want to learn from you too. If there are things that I can learn from you, I'm always there available. My phone number is very simple, 080-2865-7826. We appreciate our mother. I think she has left. Okay. I think she has left. Miss Adebola, who graced our occasion for today and enlightened us about how safety needs to be run. Don't let us forget, for our females, if you think you want to join this organization, it's always good to join organizations. If you think you want to join this organization, please let us chat me up on WhatsApp so that I can give us the details. Yes, thank you for the training. Thank you for the training, sir. I'm not a sir, I'm a boy, please. So thank you so much for this impactful training. Okay, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Please put your phone, number here for a while. Thank you. Okay, thank you. I will do that now. Thank you for your feedback. I really appreciate your feedbacks. Thank you. Okay. Mrs. Elena from Rwanda, I think so. She's already a member of Soshi. That's good. So my phone number is let me put +234 because this is Nigeria. Okay, from Namibia. Thank you for that. 080-2865-7826. 080-2865-7826. Thank you, Miss Adamson. Thank you for calling me your son. Thank you for this training, Waliu. Thank you, Mr. Tilayo. So please let us take our time to go to our YouTube channel. I should have said that this morning. We have a YouTube channel. You can see, just type Safety World on YouTube, Safety World on YouTube. You see our YouTube channel. We have a lot of safety videos. We have lots and lots and lots of safety videos that we can all learn from. So let us, most importantly, share our YouTube channel so that I can get to the world. Let us subscribe to our YouTube channel. We still have a very few number of views and few number of members, subscribers. Please let us try as much as possible to please subscribe. Let us subscribe. Just search for Safety World or Safety Moment with Waliullah. Safety World or Safety Moment with Waliullah. You will see a lot of our videos on various topics: home safety, in pedestrian safety, industrial safety, construction safety, and we still promise to do well. We still coming to, we have a lot of plans for us to do more, to create more engaging training videos and free trainings also. Yes, we have the plan to continue with free trainings. Let us keep it good by coming to attend so that we're motivated to do more. Let us once again, please remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel so that we'll keep and switch on the notification button ahead so that we continue to get updates. And also remember Cuddle Safety Consult. We are into a lot of safety trainings and every other training that you want us to train your organization, train your workers, to train your management. We are working on various training with various organizations, and we want to be part of the organizations too. So please do refer us so that we continue to spread the safety gospel. Thank you, and God bless you.